get an update on the roads. Team Hochberg Traffic Center time and Jim Talamonte.
Metra's reporting a delay on the Heritage Corridor line this morning. The train due at Union Station is 8:12 is running 15 to 20 minutes late due to positive train control issues. Eastbound Adams Tollway at Roselle Road. The right shoulder is blocked after a collision involving an SUV and a dump truck. A couple of crashes affecting 83 this morning. There's one at Oakbrook Terrace on Roosevelt Road at 83. Farther south in Willowbrook, a collision on 83 at Bluff Road just cleared. Inbound Eisenhower, traffic slow from Ogden into the Burn Circle. It's 31 minutes, 390 to downtown. Outbound 28. Inbound Stevenson, traffic's a bit heavy from Ashland to the Ryan. That's traffic. I'm Jim Talamonte on AM 560, The Answer.
Chicago's Morning Answer continues next. In our 1-hour heating and air conditioning weather center, our meteorologist, Steve Williams.
Clouds and a few showers today, the high at 61. Shower and thunderstorm around tonight, low 48. Cloudy with a few brief showers tomorrow, the high 62. Clouds and showers Friday, the high 55. I'm Steve Williams on AM 560, The Answer.
42 at O'Hare, 41 Lakefront. Your next news update is at 8:30 with breaking news as it happens. Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan and Amy continues next on AM 560, The Answer.
This hourly segment is brought to you by In the Know with Wealth Management Group, hosted by Craig Bolanos. Heard Sunday mornings at 10.
This is Chicago's Morning Answer with Dan Proft and Amy Jacobson on AM 560. The Answer.
Top of the morning, Dan and Amy and Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin led off the coronavirus task force briefing last evening with the announcement that the Senate had passed a refill on the payroll protection program, just a few Dove bars away from going to the president's desk today. If Nancy Pelosi can see her way fit to pull herself away from her refrigerator. Here's a Mnuchin explaining what the program has done and thus will continue to do, with sort of a special response to some of the accusations that there were companies who benefited who didn't need the benefit.
We have over 1 million companies that have received this with less than 10 workers. So there is very broad participation in really small business. I will comment, there have been some big businesses that have taken these loans. I was pleased to see that Shake Shack returned the money. We will be putting out some FAQs. There is a certification that people are making. And I ask people, just make sure the intent of this was for business that needed the money. We'll put out an FAQ. But again, the intent of this money was not for big public companies that have access to capital.
Okay. Where are the big ideas across the board for tax and regulatory relief? I mean, obviously, we're seeing some regulatory relief in the medical space when it comes to drugs and devices and procedures for per the FDA. What about big ideas on tax and spend, particularly tax and spending seems to be off the table, like what was argued for in the Wall Street Journal. I think it was the Wall Street Journal this week by Art Laffer and Steve Moore and others, the suspension of the payroll tax for the rest of the year. Even bigger ideas, slashing the capital gains tax for the foreseeable future, maybe the rest of the year, maybe just permanently. I know you got Nancy Pelosi in the House. She's doing all sorts of things to gum up the works, to challenge the control of the Senate that Republicans enjoy, to challenge the control of the White House that Republicans enjoy. Why not in the opposite direction? Why don't we put that to our friend Steve Moore, who's a Wall Street Journal columnist and economist, author of Trumponomics. Steve, thanks for joining us. Appreciate it.
Hi, Dan. Hi, Amy.
Hello. So the good news is the replenishment of the payroll protection program, and the bad news is we're not seeing any big ideas on tax policy.
Well, two thoughts about what you were saying, Dan. First of all, I'm not a big fan of this.
I know.
This program. I think it's been so fraudulent. You've got I think we talked a little bit about this last week, but because they made a huge mistake in converting this into a forgivable loan program, so it essentially becomes a grant. You've got what's happening, folks, is the health business and running today. It's the other half that are facing the tough times. So, it was eminently predictable. So all the healthy companies are like, oh, wow, free money from Washington. And so all these companies are lining up for money. And then the ones that really do need it, the one with 5 or 8 employees, the little store on the street can't get the loan.
Well, you just heard, wait. You just heard Steve Mnuchin say 1 million businesses with fewer than 10 employees.
You know how many small businesses we have in this country? 25 million.
Yeah, I understand. I understand. But there were only 1.5 million loans that were granted in the first phase of the PPP.
Well, but look, I take your point. But I'll give you a little example. My wife is on the board of a little Presbyterian neighborhood. And,
Steve, you're breaking up us on this, Steve. The Chinese are interfering. Yeah.
Hold on.
Chinese communists.
Have
your phone number.
Hold on.
All right.
You said your wife's on the board of a Presbyterian church?
Yes. Can you hear me better now?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So my wife is on the board of a little Presbyterian church, and this is happening. I tell this story because it's happening all throughout the country. So at the last board meeting, the first order of business was the director says, "Hey, I just talked to our lawyer, and he says we're eligible for a $120,000 loan from the government." And my wife said, "Well, wait a minute. We have $600,000 in the bank. Why do we need a loan?" Well, because you know what, we weren't going to lay off Tom and Sally and Bill anyway, and we can get this $120,000, and then we can convert it into a grant. It's free money. And my wife, bless her heart, she said, "Well, we don't need this money. And by the way, if we take this money, that's going to deprive a small business that really does need the money." And she lost that argument 9-1 on the board because people are regarding this as free money. So I just think the program, look, it's very simple.
By the way, the other problem with that is it's a church. I don't want tax dollars being funneled to churches. I mean, even I'm a Catholic. I don't want it to my church. I don't want it to any churches. The last thing you want is state entanglements.
And then there's another problem with this too, Dan. I mean, you're exactly right about that. Whatever happened to the separation of church and state? But the other problem is what we're creating is a dependency culture here. We've got 150 million Americans getting free money from the government. We're getting all these businesses that are getting free money from the government. It's like their source of income. And what I'm here to tell you is there's only one solution to this problem, and that solution is get the economy up and running where it's safe. All over the country, we've got 3 or 4 Republican governors and 1 Democratic governor, the governor of Colorado, that are opening up their economies next week, which is fantastic. I think Illinois is going to be a laggard, and I think Wisconsin's going to be a laggard, and Michigan's going to be a laggard. But, I tell you, I talked to the Illinois businessman, because I'm from the great state of Illinois, and he said, look, if Illinois doesn't open until, the middle of May or June 1st, he said, I'm going to pick up my business. He has 400 employees, and we're moving to Arizona. We're moving to Florida or Georgia.
June 1st, our mayor was saying June 30th yesterday.
That's insane.
It's insane.
You're not going to have a business left. They're going to have, are you talking about Chicago or the whole state?
Yeah, Chicago. Mayor Lightfoot.
Oh, you know what? You're going to have tumbleweeds down State Street, and I mean, you're going to destroy the great city of Chicago if you keep it shut down that long. Every business will fail. You're going to have
but they keep saying it's just to save one life, and they're destroying lives.
It is so ridiculous. You're just infuriating me, Amy, because that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. You're going to have way more. Did you see the numbers of people who are calling suicide hotlines are up 700% in the last month and a half? I mean, you're killing more people. Seriously, we are killing more people in terms of drug abuse, alcoholism, suicide, heart disease, all these things. You've seen that a lot of the hospitals are shut down so people can't get mammograms and things like that. I mean, this is the stupidest thing we've ever done.
Well, hospitals are laying people off. Orthopedic surgeons are being laid off. I mean, Lurie's Children's Hospital is almost empty.
And you know what? Just look at the age. I mean, the other thing is, sorry, I'm venting this morning, guys, but I'm looking at the data now. 75% of the people who are dying from, and I'm not minimizing this, but 75% of the deaths are people over the age of 75, and a good percentage of those people are in nursing homes. So why don't we just quarantine the nursing homes and make sure that people are going into nursing homes? And why don't we let counties in Illinois and Michigan and Ohio and Colorado, let those counties open up where you have very few cases of coronavirus. And by the way, nobody's going to force any business to reopen. If you don't want to reopen, you don't have to.
And if you don't want to go out, don't go out.
Yeah.
Exactly. Thank you.
60% of Americans don't, want businesses to reopen. Well, just stay in your house. I don't care.
Meanwhile,
that's fine. That's your decision.
Here in Virginia, where I live, they've got to put chains on every basketball court, chains on the tennis courts. You can't play golf by yourself. The kids can't go to the playgrounds. This is terrible. You're going to keep people holed up. I'm going to make an argument. This is worse for our health than letting people go out. I mean, you're going to keep people from getting exercise. And, the biggest problem we have health-wise in this country is obesity. And everyone knows that exercise is a great way to remain healthy and the great outdoors. And I mean, it's just we've become we're a little, I don't know. I don't even know what to say. I'm just so frustrated by the whole thing.
Let's talk about what happens when you do open up and you have disincentives to work. You and Phil Kerpen have written about this. Kurt Huffman, who's a restaurateur in Portland, wrote about it too, is I can't reopen until August, regardless of what the governor of Oregon says, because my employees make more money about being unemployed than working for me.
Yeah, and we, here's. Did you see what the governor of Pennsylvania said? Tom Wolf. What? He's another idiot. He may be. It's going to be a contest between Wolf and Pritzker. And the woman in Michigan for the worst governors in America today. But the governor of Pennsylvania was asked this question. He said, when you open up, a lot of these businesses say that because of the $600 a month and plus the unemployment insurance, they make more money. And this arrogant Pennsylvania governor said, well, they're just going to have to pay each other more. They're underpaying them anyway. And it's like, wait a minute. This is just a backdoor way for the left to raise the minimum wage.
A canary in the coal mine, the oil market crashed this week, and it's going to just decimate regional economies. Wall Street Journal had a good story on that yesterday. Yep. Wyoming depends on mining and energy production for 16% of its output. Yep. Texas is only 8%. Texas is actually more diversified than people understand. But Alaska, 15%, Oklahoma, 12%, North Dakota, 10%.
What about Pennsylvania?
Yeah,
right. Don't forget Pennsylvania, Ohio, which have become shale oil and gas areas. We have 6 million Americans that are employed in the oil and gas industry, and those are good-paying jobs. They're truckers, they're blue-collar construction workers and drillers. And did you see AOC's her tweet?
Oh,
good.
It's all good news.
Evil industry.
Yeah, it's all good news.
Lose their jobs. I mean, this is the woman who says she cares so much about working class people. I mean, maybe this is a backdoor ploy by the left to shut down our fossil fuel industry. They finally figured out a way to do it, Dan.
Well, but I mean, but answer my question about a canary in the coal mine. I mean, if you don't have an economy, you don't need energy. So you're going to decimate the energy sector, which led our growth over the last decade, particularly the last several years, last 3 years. Yeah. And so you think you're going to get a V-shaped recovery if you continue to watch industries like energy be decimated?
So we have a great study coming out by the great Arthur Laffer that shows there's a big difference between opening up the economy on May 1st versus, say, June 1st or June 15th. Every day that goes by, the economic carnage, and a carnage is the only way to describe this. I mean, when you see these businesses failing, you see what's happening we'll have probably 30 million people unemployed by the end of this week. 30 million people? I mean, that is indescribably horrible as a result of this lockdown. And yes, it is a canary in a coal mine. And that's why, I keep advising, I'm a member of the president's, Economic Recovery Task Force. And every time I talk to him, Mr. President, don't slide from May 1st. We got to get this economy up and running because you're going to see more and more industries fail. Look what's happening in the commercial real estate market. It's getting crushed right now. Look what's happening I have friends who own apartment units. Nobody's paying their rent. Nobody's paying the rent. Did you guys know that? Everybody just stopped paying the rent because these cities and states are saying, oh, you can't be evicted. So people just stop paying, and that means the banks don't get the I mean, this hardship is ricocheting throughout the economy. And if we don't get the economy open by June 1st, we're going to have something that feels like a Great Depression. And I think, Dan, a lot of people believe, even some of my family members who think I'm crazy, they think that, in 3 weeks you can just go outside and everything's going to be like back to normal. And it's not. I mean, I would love to. I hope that's going to, but it's going to feel like a nuclear bomb was dropped on our society. The businesses, once they're boarded up, once they're put in body bags and they're in corpses, those businesses aren't coming back.
Stephen Moore, I just want to ask you about, I don't know if you heard or read about Governor Pritzker. Well, not him, the state Senate majority leader has asked the federal government for a $41 billion bailout with $20 billion going to help the pensions.
Are you serious?
Yeah. Serious.
The arrogance. So I got to tell you this. So we have this, our Committee to Unleash Prosperity, and we've created this little project to save our country. And our top priority, our three top priorities: number one, get the economy opened up. Number two, what you just mentioned earlier, Dan, is the eliminate the payroll tax this year for every business and worker in America. And the third priority is no blue state bailout. And I got to tell you, I hope the governor is listening. I hope the mayor is listening. There's no pot of gold at the end of this rainbow. And you know what? Right now, Pritzker should be radically cutting the budget in Illinois, because your revenues are probably going to be down 50% because of this Pritzker shutdown. And the idea that somehow, I guarantee you, nobody in Texas, no Tennessee, nobody in Utah, nobody in Idaho, nobody in Florida, nobody in Missouri has any desire to see their federal taxpayer dollars go to Illinois. Illinois, I'll give you one statistic. I was just looking this up. Illinois spends per capita, state and local government, almost twice as much as Tennessee spends per capita. And I could make a very strong argument that Tennessee has a lot better schools, a lot better public service than Illinois does. So why should people in Tennessee bail out Illinois? Dan, do you have an answer to that?
Yeah, they shouldn't. And here's the thing, but here's how this happens if people aren't watching, is when you're spending money at the clip that money is being printed and spent at the federal level in the hundreds of billions and trillions every time we turn around, you can bury 50 billion, 100 billion, 200 billion in there and say, well, that was just the horse trading. We needed to include 20 billion for Illinois pensions because that was just part of horse trading to get this thing through the House, for example. Yeah. And so that requires vigilance from Republicans to not allow these blue state kleptocrats to get their money through the back door that they couldn't get through the front. So
I guarantee you,
I'm counting on you to be like the Night Watchman in Game of Thrones.
We are going to throw our bodies in front of that train. And by the way, have there been any protests yet in Illinois?
No, but they're coming. They're coming May 1st. Yeah.
Okay, good, because these are great patriotic Americans who are using their First Amendment rights to rally, and the left has been completely savage at their criticism. It's going on all over the country: Wisconsin, Colorado, Florida, Texas. People are just rising up. It's a wonderful thing to see citizens say, give me back my rights, give me back my jobs, give me back my business, give me back my religious freedom. I mean, we have never seen the kind of abuses by government that we're seeing right now. And it breaks my heart to see, but I love to see citizens fighting back against it.
All right, Steve Moore, along with Art Laffer, Larry Kudlow, the Economic Night's Watch. There we go. We're counting on you. Yes. Steve Moore, thanks for joining us.
And he joined us on our turnkey.pro answer line.
Connect with Dan and Amy on the AM 560 The Answer mobile app. Just text the word app to 64636 to download the app today.
Balance of Nature. Changing the world, one life at a time.
Balance of Nature, no question. Your product's a great product. I mean, it's very, very good. I own a couple of businesses, so I'm on the go a lot. There's no doubt that the energy level increased.